With the Gaza war showing no signs of easing, the Israeli army has launched what it calls a massive anti-terror operation in the West Bank. The IDF says 11 Palestinians have been killed. The violence in the West Bank has surged after Hamas's unprecedented attack on October 7th. Israel, during its operations in the West Bank, the Israeli forces launched coordinated raids across 4 cities of Jenin, Nablus, Tubas and Tulkarem. Smoke could be seen rising from West Bank's Jenin, and according to the Palestinian Health Ministry, thousands of Palestinians have been arrested and more than 660 fighters and civilians have been killed in the West Bank and East Jerusalem. In Tulkarem, Israeli forces resorted to a different form of destruction. Bulldozers were seen digging up streets in the area. There was widespread destruction also in Bur Shams. The army said it was carrying out a counter-terrorism operation. Meanwhile, according to reports, the Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas, who was in Saudi Arabia, has cut short his trip and will be returning to West Bank amid operations by the Israeli army. Israeli forces also sent troops deeper into southern Gaza's Khan Yunis. Strikes were launched across the enclave as the IDF battered Hamas militants, killing at least 34 Palestinians. Now, according to medics, an Israeli airstrike killed 8 Palestinians near a school housing displaced families in Deir al-Bala. The medical team also said a journalist and his sister were killed in an Israeli strike in Nuseirat.
نقول عن هذه الحادثة ندين ونستنكر ما قام به الاحتلال الإسرائيلي وندعو المجتمع الدولي لأخذ إجراءاته لحماية الصحفيين في قطاع غزة على أثر هذه الحادثة.
Meanwhile, Israel's hardline security minister Ben Gvir repeated his calls for Jews to be allowed to pray at the al-aqsa mosque in Jerusalem. He had made these comments on Monday during an interview on Israel's army radio. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, however, said there was no change in the status quo on Temple Mount. Ben Gvir's latest comments come 2 weeks after he triggered outrage by visiting the compound with hundreds of his supporters, many of whom appeared to be praying openly in defiance of the status quo rules. And our correspondent Jody Cohen has sent us this report on the hostage deal talks and raids in West Bank.
After the IDF rescued Farhan al-Qadi, an Israeli Arab held hostage by Hamas for 326 days, there are now 108 hostages remaining in Gaza. Al-Qadi said that hostages are suffering hugely, and Prime Minister Netanyahu promised him that Israel would do everything to bring them home through negotiations and rescue operations, both of which he said required unending pressure on Hamas. The talks are due to continue on Wednesday in Qatar, again without a Hamas delegation at the talks. Meanwhile, President Biden's advisor Brett McGurk met with Qatar's Prime Minister al-Thani after al-Thani's meetings in Tehran. White House spokesperson John Kirby said that Iran is still postured and poised to carry out an attack on Israel, and Kirby confirms that the US would defend Israel if Iran escalates. Meanwhile, the IDF has said it's carrying out operations in the northern West Bank to counter an Iranian-backed terror network, which Israel says is being built up as another front against Israel.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.